All right, good morning, everybody. Let's have ourselves a fantastic start to the day here. Hope you're doing well, absolutely ready to crush today's trading session and are ready to cap off what has been an excellent week here so far, right? Although yesterday was a red day, certainly wasn't a defining day for the week, right? And we focused on losing small, losing in control, and putting ourselves in situations where we're still, right, one or two trades away from new all-time highs inside our portfolios. So today is about making sure that on a Friday, right, we don't ruin our weekend and that we put ourselves in situations where we're trusting our system, following our technique, and kind of controlling the variables we can control. Talk about this all the time, right? But it's the best loser that ultimately wins long term. And as much as I would love to be green every single day, unfortunately isn't going to be the reality with trading. And so, yes, I got my ass kicked a little bit yesterday. We'll take full accountability and responsibility for that. But I also kicked ass Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And we're going to kick ass again here on Friday. So I'm very confident, excited, motivated, and roaring to go here this morning. And looking to absolutely do well here today. Now, what's important to stress, right? Even though I'm excited, even though I'm motivated, even though I am, confident I can finish off the week on a nice note here, I'm not out for revenge, right? I'm not looking to increase my position sizing to make back yesterday's $900 loss. I'm not looking to, trade the first half signal I get because I'm owed P&L. I'm not looking to do any of those sort of things. I'm looking to keep following my system. I'm looking to keep following my plan. And I'm going to trust my technique over trusting my emotional reaction, right, to things not always going as well as I want. So today, right, the focus is on being disciplined, structured, detailed, and obsessing over losing small, not winning big. Because when I obsess over losing small, then it's easy for me to set myself up, to put myself in good situations where I can make money, where I can be profitable, and ultimately I can do better than what I did yesterday. As a talking point, right, or as like a lesson learned, if you want to call it that, there was so much Fed speak there yesterday, and I think I underrated how frustrating that was going to make price action. And instead of maybe slowing down and respecting the power of the Fed, I was maybe just a little bit too aggressive, right? And wanted to basically keep the streak going, right? More than anything else. So today, we should have a slightly less busy Fed calendar, and that should make things a little bit easier for us here today. We can kind of get back to business and finish off the week strong. In reality, with the way that we trade, with keeping our losses the size that we do, and emphasizing, right, that sort of losing small mentality, it doesn't matter if we have 2 green days on the week. It doesn't matter if we have 3. It doesn't matter if we have 1. We can set ourselves up, right, where we can still be wildly profitable. So this idea of, you're going to be green every single day, or that you're going to have any of these, like you're never going to deal with drawdown, you're never going to deal with frustration, is an unrealistic way for us to behave and to structure our decision-making processes. So for me, right, it's understanding that when I follow my rules, I follow my technique, then I can get incredible risk-reward returns on my trading, like we got on Tuesday, right, where we made, $7K per account. And then in the meantime, sometimes you're going to deal with a little bit of drawdown. You're going to deal with a little bit of some ups and downs. And the less personal we can make those ups and downs feel, the sooner we're going to get back to being on top of our P&L, feeling good about our trading, and building that good momentum inside our trading accounts. So with that being said, looking forward to having a fantastic trading day here with you all, finishing off the week strong, and hopefully, right, kicking off the weekend with a celebratory breakfast here at the end of today's trading day. No issues by the looks of it here with TradingView. So hopefully we can also blast off here and absolutely keep dominating, right, the market as we have been. So with that being said, let's start mapping things out, figure out what we want to do here this AM, and finish off the week the way we know how. So good morning, Suresh, Ruben, Craig, Brian, Tanja, John, Bugs, The Lift Project, Ron, Salstein, Nautilus, Igor, Devin, Steven, Raim, Daniel, Bill. Sorry, I lost my place there. Bergs, Dustin, Jeff, Emil, Nate, Sabrine, Emmanuel, Greg, Tasha, Dwayne, Samuel, Ben, Derek, Constantine, Michael, SG, Antonin, Topher, Randall, and Jeremy. Hope you're all having yourselves a fantastic start to the AM here and are ready to finish off the week strong. So first things first, right? Check the economic calendar here. Good morning, Chad. And okay, we had PCE this morning. We've got some consumer sentiment here, and then we got some Fed speak in the afternoon, but that's going to be after we finish our trading session. So it should be a much cleaner calendar for us here today. Good morning, AR. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the markets want to behave for us this morning. For those of you down south experiencing potentially some ramifications from that hurricane, hopefully you guys are all doing well, safe, sound, dry, and yeah, no issues here this morning. Yeah, and hope you guys have yourselves a strong day. So let's start off with the ES here. What's the count? And let's go from there. Yeah, 3 for 3 to the upside. Kind of a mixed bag from that candle, right? So although it's a 3 for 3 here to the upside with a relatively decent volume profile relative to what we've had here so far this week, it's not the strongest looking candle shape. But what is positive is that we closed above the previous all-time highs. So we did see bulls defend that area relatively well. We were able to close back up above that after the early selling pressure. And we know that yesterday's high was essentially from the morning gap up. So we are going to be looking for a continuation narrative here to the upside. That gives me a bullish bias here this morning. So NA here on a bear case, right? As I got bulls are in control here. And I'm looking for continuation. So it's a strong, well, higher high, higher low, held above previous all-time highs. So there are strong elements associated with that candle, even though the shape maybe isn't perfect, but still gave me enough confidence that, hey, this is still a bullish market. And then this morning, right, it's green price action here so far, and it's much smaller of a move, right, than what we saw there yesterday. So again, that might make it a little bit easier for us to get a, breakout or buyer's market here this morning relative to what we saw there yesterday. And then we're going to be targeting a move towards 58.20. 58.30 as our starting point here, right? So 58.31 is current all-time highs. So we'll go 58.30. And then from there, we have it mapped out towards 5,900. Again, wouldn't expect us to get that amount to follow through here yet today. But if we do, then that would be incredible. If we don't, no worries. We'll take it 10 points along the way. All right, NQ. Similar story, right? So although we're not at all-time highs here, we were able to close above that Thursday high, above that Wednesday high, made a higher low. So we do have bullish characteristics inside yesterday's candle, even though maybe the candle shape here isn't fantastic. We are still going to call this a 3 for 3 here to the upside. So we do have trending markets here, and it's now 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Green days here in a row post that Thursday candle with one sort of day of consolidation. So again, right, we have more evidence that it's a bullish momentum than bearish momentum. So gonna have a bullish only bias here this AM. No bear case here this morning on our index level, as they're telling us that we have trending price action here to the upside. And then we're going to be targeting a move towards 2,500 as our starting point. And then from there, we already have it mapped out higher. So again, don't expect it to move 1,000 points. That would be a pretty aggressive move. But we'll save ourselves a little bit of work for later in the week and make sure that we've got a good plan here for this sort of momentum. We don't need bigger volume than what we saw there yesterday because we already have that volume shelf supporting today's thesis. But let's make sure that we see impressive volume showing up before we jump in and do anything aggressive. All right, crude. Just a little bit lower volume than what we saw there on Wednesday, which makes sense post crude oil inventories. So it's a red candle, technically decreasing volume, and then a little bit of a gap up, right? So that gives me a 1 for 3 here to the downside. I'm going to say with outlier volume. So although the volume is decreasing, it's still relatively strong compared to its average, right? So this is, the biggest volume we've kind of seen last like 3 weeks or so, right? Give or take. So although it's weak trending price action, it's a strong version of weakness, which I know is a little bit of an oxymoron, but we do want to respect that volume standard. And it just means that if we are going to get a reversal, or we are going to look for a continuation narrative here to the downside, the standard that we need to apply here for that continuation needs to be pretty impressive. And again, we're going to go ORB, fake out, then breakout, right? So we can either play that dip buy scenario and then move to the upside, right? On like a red to green type move, or right, we can look for a breakdown, or again, right, a green to red type move in either direction here. And we're looking for a move towards 68 and then up towards like 70. So we'll go 50 cents along the way. So 68.50, 69, nice. 69.50, 70, and then above that 70 handle, we can maybe go up towards 72. And again, just rounding up towards the nearest round numbers. I don't anticipate crude moving like $2 along the way, right? Or even $1, 1% move in a couple bars. Relatively, unrealistic. So would be kind of cutting that down, right? To go like 0.5% along the way type thing. Cool. And then here to the downside, we've got to move towards 67, we'll call it, right, as our starting point. And then we have it mapped out from there to the downside. I still think on crude, the path of least resistance appears to be lower, right? I think that seems to be the slightly easier setup for us this morning. But let's make sure, right, that we see not only volume confirming that narrative, but that we don't get faked out. Crude loves a good little fake out scenario. So I'm sometimes a little bit pessimistic to trade it. And we're going to need to see something pretty impressive showing up prior to us being aggressive. All right, Apple. Green candle, decreasing volume here, gap up. So 2 out of 3 to the upside without volume. This is starting to maybe look a little bit like a bull flag. So get rid of this, right? So here's your flag. Here's your flag pull. And we'd like to see a breakout basically above that 233, right, for really strong confirmation. But a short-term pop above 230 should give us space up towards those previous highs. And then a breakdown here under this 224 would potentially fill that gap here to the downside and invalidate some of this short-term bullish momentum. But Apple looks like it's motivated to push back up towards ATH. So let's see if it's got the legs to do it here today, and then we can go from there. All right, Tesla. Red candle, higher high, higher low. Sorry, higher high, lower low, apologies. And then it's a significant gap up, right? And that gap up is opening up in the middle of yesterday's range. So we've got a lot of work to do for us to get a breakout higher, and a lot of work to do before we get a breakdown lower. So for me, right, Tesla seems to be setting up as an inside bar because we're opening up, straight up in the basically middle here. And it's a 2 out of 3 here to the downside with volume. So we have no bullish bias here, right? Because we have a strong, relatively strong volume shelf here. And we're looking for a breakdown under 250. And we're going to say setting up as an inside bar. All right, Microsoft, that multi-drawings from yesterday. Again, still looks like it could be flagging, right? We have 2 points of contact here to the upside, 3 points of contact here on the bottom. Similar pattern to what we have on Apple. So it's nice to see our leading names are rhyming to a certain extent. And we're going to be looking, right, for a breakout above that 436 area. Although Microsoft is giving me an increasing volume standard, it's well below outlier, not even the biggest volume of the week. And so we can quantify this volume as, okay, increasing within consolidation. Doesn't exactly indicate an element of strong bearish momentum here within this context, especially when we quantify that it made higher highs and higher lows. So we have bullish characteristics here, even though we have some bearish volume. And so the difference, right, between a Microsoft here this morning, right, and Tesla is Tesla, we don't have an argument that this is like occurring inside consolidation, right? So this is making that kind of like bearish engulfing looking candle after it made like kind of a failed breakout. Microsoft is doing that inside its kind of quote unquote pattern. And so we could argue that this is consolidation much, much easier than what we're seeing there on Tesla, right? So barely increasing volume standard means that we do need to see more volume than what we saw there yesterday before we have conviction. And we'll see if we can get that pop. And then, you know, because we're also opening up in the implied middle of that range, we're kind of suggesting that, hey, this could also be a day of consolidation here on Microsoft. So Microsoft is kind of like the ugly stepchild of Apple and Tesla, where we have a pattern situation similar to Apple, but also opening up in the implied middle of yesterday's range, which is similar to Tesla. All right, Amazon. Red candle, bearish engulfing on volume, lower low, lower high. So much stronger bearish characteristics here. Volume just under outlier, so we're going to respect that as being outlier. And that gives me a 2 out of 3 here to the downside with volume. And so we're looking for a breakdown here under 189.50 with no bullish case. And maybe we're starting to see the beginning, right, of a potential pattern, but we don't have enough kind of points of contact here on the upper side or the downside, right, to really be convinced here. So it's now, okay, 1.5, maybe 2 points of contact there. So that's not, I wouldn't say developed enough, right, for me to be convinced that this is a nice pattern pop. All right, AMD, green candle, increasing outlier volume, gap up, right? So continuing that 3 for 3 narrative. We're going to be looking for a breakout here over 169 or a dip buy inside yesterday's range. And then no bear case here, as we clearly look to be having a bullish breakout. Again, that gap fill attempt towards 175 seems to be what AMD is targeting. So let's see if it has the juice here today. If semiconductor names can be the sort of psychopaths that push us higher, that should put us in a good situation to have ourselves a strong session on the tech-heavy indexes. All right, NVIDIA, higher high, higher low. Red candle, increasing non-outlier volume. So again, kind of like the ugly stepchild like we've seen here in Microsoft and Apple. Did that gap fill reversal scenario there yesterday. And again, opening up in the implied middle of that range. So again, we're going to go 2 out of 3 to the downside with non-outlier volume, with increasing but non-outlier. And so we're going to be looking for a breakout here above that 128 area. We're also going to be a little bit more respectful here of the bull case because we have that pattern breakout, right? And that pattern breakout here occurred on volume. So since that pattern breakout has happened, we've only seen higher highs and higher lows. We haven't seen really a significant retracement here. So if bears were actually strong, why couldn't we get back down under, say, that like 121 area? We still were able to find relatively decent support. So we're going to be looking for a continuation of this narrative, but we've got a lot of work to do before that's in play. So again, this might be better for Monday versus today. And then we'll go NA here No, we won't go NA, but we'll look for a breakdown here under this previous low. So breakdown under 121.80. Okay, Meta. Lower low, higher high, decreasing volume, opening up in the implied middle of that candle's range. Looks like Tesla, right? So we're 1 out of 3 here to the downside. So we're looking for a breakout over 578 or, a breakout over 578 or a breakdown here under 562. Okay, Netflix. Higher high, lower low, opening up in the lower third of that candle. I'm seeing this as potentially like a trend line here. Right, 1 point of contact, 2 points of contact, now 3 points of contact. Potentially bouncing off of that trend line relatively well here this morning. But we need to see a breakout over 726, right, for me to have conviction of follow through here to the upside. And then if we're going to be bearish, right, we'd like to see a breakdown here under the 700. So it is a technical 3 out of 3 here to the downside. So we are going to have a bearish bias here. But we'll call this a weak 3 out of 3. And we'll say possible trend line bounce. And what this means, right, is if we have that bullish scenario, we want to see bigger volume than what we saw there yesterday, right, on a breakout above. And then if we get that breakdown, we don't need to be as aggressive with our volume standard. And then losing that 700 psych level would be a pretty good thing for bears to see. All right, Google, higher high, higher low, opening up in the implied middle of that candle's range. Not exactly a incredible volume standard. Those double drawings yesterday drove me insane. But I don't think too much is going to be changing from this perspective, right? We still look to be a little bit stuck inside Monday's range. We can't really sustain a breakdown under. We haven't really been able to give us a breakout over. So I'm going to look for a pop still above that 166 area or, right, a breakdown under 161. Until I can get separation away from this zone, it's going to be challenging for me to look for a good continuation narrative. So again, it's a 2 out of 3 here to the downside with increasing non-outlier volume. So again, if I get a breakout here above 166, it's got to be on bigger volume than what I've seen here yesterday. And if I get that breakdown under 161, on bigger volume than what I saw yesterday. And then VIX, 17.35 here on this handle. So not a tremendous amount of volatility available to us here yet so far today. So let's see how that basically shapes up and where it shows up. If we do get a nice level of oomph, we should be putting ourselves into a nice level. So any questions here, team? Any questions? Any questions? We're good? All right, fantastic. So I'm just going to go make myself a quick cup of coffee, spend a few minutes here visualizing a successful trading day, and then we'll jump back on here in a moment and do a quick little rundown before the session starts. If you have any questions, pop them in the chat. I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as I can, and we'll go from there. So NQ, we have a 3 for 3 count here to the upside. So we have a bullish bias here this morning. Yeah, so Nautilus, the 3 for 3 is not a count of how many days in a row it's been green. It's a count based on the previous day's price action. So yesterday was a green candle, that's 0.1. We had increasing volume, which is 0.2. And then today we have a gap up that is 0.3. So it's an indication of basically how strong the trend is. If you have all three elements telling you the same story, you have a higher probability of a trend day in that direction. If you're missing certain ingredients, so you're either missing the volume or you're missing price action, then you're looking for those narratives to show up before you're willing to be aggressive with your trading. All right, so let's get ready here to have ourselves a strong trading session here, team. Markets are now open, and we have a mostly bullish bias here across the board, right? But we want to see a good level of cooperation, right, from our other leading names prior to us being very aggressive. So we're going to see how the day shapes up, right? A lot of the stories that we have on our individual names are ones of consolidation, with maybe semiconductors being the one main exception there here today. So if we don't get a tremendous amount of oomph to start the day off, we might have to be a little bit patient, right, to get some sort of catalyst that can give us a directional bias here this morning. Start things off, ES already looking relatively strong and finding good support here to push up towards previous highs. So let's see if it has that level of enthusiasm here to start the day off. And NQ a little bit more of selling pressure, right, than what we saw there on ES. So again, we're going to be a little bit patient. We're going to be a little bit cautious. Now we're going to look for that perfect opportunity here today to really dominate markets. And not a tremendous amount of volume here relative to yesterday's open. So that's going to be, again, a lot harder for us to get that bearish momentum, right, if we can't overcome yesterday's volume standard. So that makes it easier for us to have that bullish bias of continuation. And we're going to be looking, right, for that clean narrative here to show up. If it ends up being kind of like one of those low vol sell-offs, right, into a fake out scenario, that for me is probably my favorite setup that we can possibly get. But it's one that requires just a little bit more patience here as we see that early morning selling pressure sort of establish itself and show it basically running out of momentum. So let's see how it goes. Let's see if we can get some good oomph here today and then go from there. Hey, good morning, Brian. And just from my end, the coffee is strong. It's nice and warm here today. So I'm feeling good, feeling optimistic. Good morning, Robin. And hopefully, right, we can get a little bit of market cooperation here today to give us a nice trading opportunity. So early dip buyers and many of our leading names here. But 3 minutes doesn't define a trending market here by any means. So again, we'll be a little bit cautious here, a little bit patient. And we're absolutely not going to force anything that isn't there, right? So today isn't about revenge. Today isn't about trying to, turn a good week into an amazing week. It's not about bouncing back from yesterday. It isn't doing anything along those lines. It's about setting ourselves up, right, for a good amount of continuation. So generally, PJ, my max loss that I'm willing to take on a trade is about $500, between $500 and $600. If I can get 2 contracts, I'll go up to $600 as a max loss number. So 5 micros would be plenty. You'd be able to trade, typical minis, right, there as well within that kind of max daily loss. Hey, good morning, Ben. Today is about today, exactly, right? So we've had a great week here so far. We had really good trading days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yesterday, okay, we got punched in the mouth here a little bit. It happens to every trader, but it's not about trying to feel like we're owed that here today, right? Or that we must get an opportunity, or that we have to do this, we have to do that. We're going to do the same thing we did yesterday, right? We're going to follow our rules. We're going to trust our system. We're going to play our technique, and we're going to ignore all the distractions that might get in the way. So controlling the variables we can control is about understanding how we manage risk, obsessing over losing small. And when we focus on losing small, winning big just kind of happens naturally. So it's still been a fantastic week. It's about 7K here per account on the week so far. So we've got more than enough, right, to be happy with ourselves. But we just can't force something that isn't there and allow our greed or our fear to trick us into decisions that we don't want to make, right? Greed likes to trick you into decisions that, force you to rush a trade. Fear tricks you into decisions, right, where you avoid your A+ setup. We want to walk that fine balance here today, control the variables we can control, and just put ourselves in opportunities where we have an expectation of being profitable if we make that decision 100 times, 10 times, 1,000 times. And if we do that, we're going to be just fine. We're not trying to optimize for a day-to-day P&L as much as we want to. We're trying to optimize for a week-to-week, a month-to-month, a year-to-year P&L, and allowing those variables, right, to dictate our decision-making processes. We're playing probabilities, not certainties. And the more that we can smooth out that variance and be consistent over the long run, the better our trading goes. Even if it doesn't feel fantastic in the moment, even though sometimes it might feel like a struggle or a fight, that's the game that we're playing. We're never going to feel rich after the result of one trade, or, we're never going to, because you just move the goalpost, right, for one. But you can blow your account, right? You can give back all your progress with one bad decision. One bad decision turns into 2, 2 turns into 3, right? And all of a sudden, just as I was saying that, sneeze was loading. all of a sudden, right, you put yourself in a situation where you're trading with that like out of body experience. So by forcing ourselves to remain in control and obsessing over our risk management details, over following our strategy, over trusting our technique, the better things go for us long term, right? So as much as social media likes to glorify the I'm never red, right? Let me show you only my winning trades. Let me do this, let me do that. That is not the reality of what profitable trading is actually like. And it's important, right, that we embrace that the best loser wins. And when you become the best loser, you make it easy for yourself to become a very profitable winner. A story to kind of cement this. So when I first started working institutionally, and I'm sure I've said this before, like I got hired at a hedge fund and I got used to seeing numbers there that were honestly uncomfortable, right? You would see P&L swings of 10, $15 million a day. And in my very first week there, we ended up losing something like 15 or $20 million. And my boss invited me out to lunch on the Friday. And I thought at that lunch that I was going to get fired and that, you know, I was about to lose my job. And he just started laughing at me. And he was like, oh, like, Michael, you'll be the first to know when Peter is down to his last billion. You're going to be just fine. And that's a lot of what it is, right? Like they were so casual about losing small. And small for them was, you know, 10, 15, $20 million in a week. That you get numb to the numbers eventually. And it just forced me to think, okay, long term, these guys must make a killing, right? If they're willing to accept those kind of hits. So we have a possible setup here on NQ. Pulling back maybe a little bit more than I'd like after that initial fake out, right? That's an elevator down. So I'm going to be a little bit cautious here. Yeah, that's a quick flush through those lows. So it'd have to be something like this, right? Stop loss 23.19 and then an entry right about 347. That's a little bit of a punchy stop loss, right? For me, 30 points would mean one contract $600. So a little bit outside of my risk tolerance window. So that's why I'm waiting this thing out and being patient. If this candle closes, you know, back up maybe above 336, and then we get, you know, higher high, higher low, kind of a bearish failure after an attempted lower low there on ES. That sets us up nicely, right, for a more realistic position sizing. And then, you know, potentially a breakout for that red to green reversal. So I'm going to be a little bit cautious here. So no look yet. So let's see where this thing closes. It's not a bad close. So now, right, we're going to be looking for a potential stop loss at the low of this current green candle. All right, so approximately 331, and we want to see elevator up above that 346 area. And then see it find support right off of these lows. So 16-point stop loss, all of a sudden, right, much more realistic for me. So let's see how this thing goes. And so in the short term, right, I could start to map out my stop loss location. First thing I always do inside my order window is set my stop loss price, right? So in this context, my stop loss is going to be 230. Sorry, 2330. It might change here in a second. And that's always the first thing I tick, right? So for me, the way that I avoid operational, we'll talk about that in a second. We don't have confirmation here yet of this giving me that separation here to the upside. We'd like to see a breakout of back up above this 346, which is now not happening. So no setup. But generally, right, what we want to see is find support inside this candle's range and then give us a breakout back up above that previous area of resistance, and then a retest of that resistance as our entry price. So for now, not getting it yet. Might have to wait on a slightly longer time frame here, or right, wait for it to make some lower lows here again, trap bears after this attempt, and then give us another reversal signal. So still an inside bar here. So the same thesis could apply, but want to be a little bit patient. Yeah, we do. Yeah. Consumer sentiment, I think. Well, right now we're looking for that ORB fake out setup, right? So this is the setup trigger that we have. It's this version, right? That low vol fake out bearish failure under the opening range. And then we can look for an opportunity. I use the 3, the 5, the 10, and the 15 min charts. So it's whichever time frame gives me my first setup. If I see a failure here on this 3 min time frame and I'm unable to get an opportunity, then I can look again on the 5. I can look on the 10. I can look for a variety here of different signals. So really what I'm doing here is I'm looking for the first opportunity or first setup that gives me the same narrative as my daily time frame. So now, right, we want to see a breakout above this 348.50, right? Elevator up. And then a slow retracement back into that zone. Opening range is the high and low of whatever time frame you're at. So the opening range here on the 3 min is going to be the high and low of the first opening 3 min candle. On the 5 min, it's going to be the high and low of the first 5 min candle, etc., etc. So watching here, right, for elevator up, stairs down. So again, setting things up, first things first, right? Put your stop loss price in. So that's 300, 324.75. So I know as is, right, I'm risking about $400 per contract. So this would be a 1 contract play. And again, we want to see elevator up and then a retest, right, into this area, give or take. So we want to see a big aggressive move above that yellow line, and then a slow pullback into that yellow line. So far, we've seen aggressive move above that yellow line, and then an aggressive move back down below. So we want to see aggressive move higher, and then slow, weak, pathetic pullback back into that area where we see bulls defending that zone. Hasn't happened here yet, so we're going to continue to be cautious and patient until we see that price action. And what we're trying to do here, right, is if I'm green, I should be green right away. So I want to jump in once bulls are defending instead of once I'm dealing with drawdown. The more drawdown I have to deal with, the worse I'm going to feel. So again, we'll see how this thing closes. This might even give us a tighter risk-reward ratio here on this next candle, which again would be great. So we could do something like this here potentially now. Stop loss 342. That's that previous high there, Chad, right? So we're looking for elevator up, right? Stairs down into give or take this area. So watching very closely here. Setting my order entry up again. Stop loss 341. And we're going to see how it defends off of these lows, right? If it can't defend these lows well, right, or defend that yellow line well, then we know we're not going to be correct instantly on our entry timing. So now stop loss has to be 339. And we're looking for elevator up above that yellow line, and then a slow pullback back into that yellow line. We haven't seen that slow pullback yet, so no reason here to jump in. And that yellow line is just the high of my confirmation candle, right? So if bulls were strong, we'd expect that area of resistance to act as support. Well, right now we've seen nothing that has invalidated my previous volume standard. So I'm watching here very carefully, team. Could potentially look to buy 2 contracts here. So starting to look for an entry. And I am in average price 23.54. Stop loss at 23.39. And we'd like to see this thing give me almost immediate follow through here. If it doesn't, gonna look to get out, right, and take my win and move on, or take my small loss and move on. Again, higher high, higher low on this candle. So we're in okay shape. Maybe a little bit of an early entry. Well, let's see if this thing can go. That's a good close. And this is 2 contracts, by the way. So let's see if we got the juice here for some nice follow through. And we'd like to see a breakout and hold above this 60 area, right, on this next candle. So yeah, definitely a little bit early on my entry. That's making me a little bit nervous. We're okay. We're holding up pretty well so far. But yeah, if I got 7 points lower, I'd be in much better shape. Okay, I took the stop. So a little bit of a fake out here again. So in my notes, right, it looks like a fake out, which is fine. But a little bit early on my entry made this a little bit more of a challenging trade than it needed to have been. We got a couple minutes now here till market data. There's that 6 minutes to go, so we're still technically in play here. That was a little bit cruel. So ES has a reversal candle, right? But not on outlier volume, so no interest in that. So we're going to wait for this 10 a.m. data here to now drop. Nope. Gotta listen, right? I said I was stopped out, took the stop. So we're going to reset here, see if we can get an opportunity post 10 a.m. data. So about 4 minutes here. So 3 minutes to go here. A high volume reversal off these lows would set us back up here for that same thesis. A relatively small range here across the board. So no big deal. Still in play here. So Damas, when you go to your YouTube, you want to make sure, right, that you have the live ticked. So there should be a red dot beside your live button. Otherwise, you're going to be significantly delayed in the stream. And I will be very unhelpful at that point, right? I won't be able to give you very good instructions. Okay, so we're back in business here, team. Same setup here, little reversal opportunity. Let's see how it finds support. That's a good bounce. Stop loss would be low of day in this context. So 23.10 stop loss, right? And again, we're looking for elevator up, stairs down, and this would be a one contract play as is. That's a good elevator. So now we want to see a weak pullback lower. That was a big pullback, very bouncy. Better. All right. So we're going to start looking for an entry here. And I am in, guys. Average price, $23.41. One contract. So far, so good. So far, so good. Again, maybe a little bit of an early entry on my part here. Well, I got stopped out at 340-ish, Damas, on that first one. On this trade right now, stop loss is this red line here, right? Low of day. You can see my instruction right here, right? So my stop loss is at low of day. All right, we're in good shape here. Let's even keep breaking out, making higher highs. All right, so I always write down my trade plan here. Should be able to see that. Should be clear for everyone. If you want it bigger font, please let me know. Great entry, PJ. Great entry. All right, so now we're starting to get some nice follow through here, right? We'd like to see it hold above this previous area of resistance. So approximately this yellow line. In great shape here, right? Awesome. So a bit annoying. We missed out that first opportunity. But this is the thesis we were looking for, and we're getting great continuation here. And that should now put you green on the day, right? So let's see if this thing can go. If it doesn't close above that line, I will get out. I don't know if I like that rejection too much. I'm out, guys. I didn't like that rejection. Closing that position moved way too fast against me. So yeah, too big of a move here quick. That did not hold whatsoever, right? So good reason to have cut that trade for a small win. Again, this has a chance to set up Euro potentially on a different time frame. Yeah, Chad, I would watch the ORB breakout strategy video inside the Discord. It'll explain that for you. What that red candle or what that red arrow shows is every candle that makes lows through the opening range on increasing volume. It'll show you a green candle for a green arrow below on opportunities where you get a breakout above the opening range on increasing volume. Nice work, Jason. Really nice work, man. So we have another chance to set this thing up. We're going to have to just maybe wait for a slightly longer time frame. The Discord is the members only community where there are alerts, where I post the live stream link daily. And we have a bunch of other features in there. We can book like one-on-one calls, things like that. So yeah, definitely was the right decision to have cut that trade a little bit early. Once it gives you that, mega rejection or mega breakout and can't hold it right away. PJ, if you've blown your account already, man, your sizing is way too aggressive, right? Like, dude, you can't start the day off talking about how you were over leveraged. We talk about how to size your position, and then you do 4x that, right, in one trade. That should not, it's unacceptable, truth be told. Again, you don't know how much risk you have. That's also, right, not great. So 1 for 2 here on the day so far. Bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. Down about 500 bucks. So looking for one good opportunity here to take advantage of. A very wicky price action in the last 10 minutes or so. Just as like a word of warning, right? We should never be placing trades if we don't know our risk management parameters, right? So that should never be a surprise. So I can't do a, I'll show you the error I get here. So if I try to log in into my Tradeovate, I get this concurrent connection warning. So I'm unable to share multiple screens here for whatever reason with Tradeovate or with TopStep X. At some point here, I could possibly get a significantly bigger monitor where it's just on the side. You guys don't see it, and then you get like the notifications of when I jumped in. But has not really presented an opportunity to do so here yet. Perhaps when I make my move, I'll be building up your target. So on that trade, right, I was targeting this upper red line. So 2450-ish. Right, I was getting about 15 to 1 risk reward on that decision. Hopefully by January 1st. Hopefully. Yeah, hopefully. Again, big dip buys here. This could be our other opportunity. One more shot. CL starting to look a little bit interesting. Same with ES. I'm going to be most interested in crude here. So stop loss 67.62. So that's the first thing, right, I'm typing into my order entry window. Entry price, want to see a tick by tick pullback here. So as is, right, you could probably buy 5 contracts to be risking about 500 bucks. The deeper pullback you get, the more sizing you can take on. Again, being very patient, right? We've seen those early moves here so far this morning get stuffed and then come back. So I'm trying to basically not be on the wrong side of that here. Okay, good reaction. So again, see a weak pullback here down into like 71, 70-ish. That would be 5 contracts. Nice work, Jason. Still looking here, still looking. Okay, starting to look for a little pullback here. All right, guys, I am in 67.71. Stop loss at 62. 5 contracts. I just announced my entry, right? So what I do here with my process is I set my price to be at the ask, and as long as it's underneath that 67.79 and I'm happy with my risk, I will click submit. So it behaves like a limit order, and I get filled at the ask when it's at my pullback price. So I said I was looking for an entry around 67.70 or 67.71. Saw price action freeze at that area and clicked submit. Hopefully you size down, Mike. If that's at 78, if you mean 68, then you got a great entry. 78, I don't think has happened, so it sounds like a typo. Nah, no worries, man. No worries. Again, so I want to see some early separation here. Get us breaking back over that 76 barrier. And then we should be in okay shape. Nicholas, if you want to see how exactly I execute trades inside the Discord, there's going to be 2 or 3 examples where you can see my exact order window and how I manage things and how I do all those variables. So if you want to familiarize yourself with that technique, you can see that there. Ultimately, my advice is that's what the paper trading process is for, right? So build up that confidence, figure out how it works, find where you can avoid your most operational mistakes. And then from there, right, you'll be able to set yourself up for some success. But for me, I always have my price set to be ask plus 0. And so I join in on the ask as long as I'm under that 236 fib line. Anywhere under this green line to this red line is a good entry. Anywhere above is a bad entry. So as long as I'm happy with my risk management and my position sizing, I've got no reasons, right, to get too picky. And then from there, I like to try to set like a specific target for me to look for. So then it either hits that 67.71 and I can click submit, or it doesn't. So far so good here, team, right? Up $600 so far. See if we can get a bit of further follow through here to push this up towards that target area that we have, right? That white line. But we are in great shape here. Now nicely green on the day. And we'll see if we can build this up into a bigger winning position. We don't have a high volume separation away from our entry price here as of yet. So I can't look to pyramid into this trade. So for now, I'm keeping it constant at this 5 total contracts. And we'll see if we can go from there. Yeah, it's because it's far away right now, PJ. It's because it's far away. You can draw it out yourself, right? And be able to do the same thing. It's just the upper end of this indicator from this DTR code, right? So it's just that red line. So that for me is automatically programmed and put in. All I'm doing is drawing this out so that I can identify my appropriate risk reward entry zone, right? So I'm not like pulling this price out of thin air. It's just whatever that pre-coded area is. Okay, so watching closely here again, right, because we don't have a huge amount of volume supporting this narrative here yet. I am a little bit nervous, right, about this thing closing back under 80. So if it does, that will be my cue to get out. We have a minute to go here, so I'm not going to panic on it yet. But if this candle closes under 80, I will get out. Yes, it does. And those lines are just 2x whatever the size of the opening range is, right? So it's double whatever this green box is. Okay, so watching closely here, right? 5 seconds, got to close above 80. Closed right at it. Don't like that on the volume. So I'm out, guys. I am out. So I'll close that 67.79, right? Because that for me looks like a reversal signal. So I'm not interested. Okay. Man, we have to fight here today. ES giving us a breakout here on the 3 min, held above previous high a day. That's interesting. So I could very much be interested in this. We are bouncing fast here this morning. So that's definitely your elevator up. What's the time here? 10:25. So we just got a 5 min candle close as well. I could probably do this as well. Right, there's your increasing outlier volume breakout. Stop loss. Is it better on the 3 or on the 5? I think it might be better on the 3. Stop loss 815. And target here, again, right? Just that red line. This is a high vol breakout scenario. So we want to see a pullback into 817.25 or lower to justify this trade. If I can't get it, then now I can possibly switch here to the 5 min time frame. And now stop loss would be 816.25. And as is, right, I could be buying about 4 or 5 contracts, right, on a retest of 18.25. So watching closely here. That's good elevator up, right? Moved by about a point. We want to see a tick by tick pullback here. Now into 58.18.25 or lower. Still not in. All right, gonna start looking for an entry here. All right, guys, I am in 58.18, 5 contracts. Stop loss 58.16.25. So we are working here today. We are working. And ideally, right, this candle gives me an increasing volume standard as this thing breaks out up and over. So that now puts me green on the day. And nicely green here, right? Nicely green. So let's see if we can get a bit more oomph. Ideally, this thing closes as like a normal body bullish candle or stronger. Right? So candle shape that looks like 1, 2, or 3. But yeah, we're looking good here, team. That's 500. Let's see if we got some more juice here. And we have to fight today for this price action. Holy. So now we want to see it close above at 820. If it can't close above 820, that's going to be my catalyst to get out. Right? Deja vu to what we had on that NQ trade, right? Where it ripped really fast, quickly, and then couldn't hold. So if this does the same thing here on me and closes at that area, I will get out. Yeah, see, that's fucking deja vu. Okay, gonna look see if I can get out at entry price here. Nope. All right. So I'm out, guys. This thing might fake out again. This is crazy. Man, my piece of paper is filled with notes today. Oh my god. The market's making us fight. Huh. Yeah, I mean, we're fighting $1 up, $1 down here so far. Don't have a setup there on crude to justify that risk reward. Don't like how it couldn't hold above that spot where we got rejected. That's why I'm pessimistic. So I'm down 200 bucks on the day here so far. What a fight. Crude might be the only thing left. $0.15 stop loss on crude, though, is quite a lot. It's $150 per contract. So you'd be buying 3 contracts, maybe max. Unless we get like a high vol breakout here on some other time frame. So this would be a 3 contract play, right? If anything. Search light crude oil futures, Brian. So crude, no go. Still potentially could be in play here on the 3 min. Would need to break out and hold above high a day. Love to play a reversal here on NQ. Interesting with ES as well. This is a ruthless market today. So there's that aggressive entry technique. So stop loss 67.87. You want to see a tick by tick pullback into like 95 or below. Because as is, you can buy 4 contracts, risk about $480. An entry above that 98, not justifiable. So if that ends up being the case, right, switch to a longer time frame and you reset. NQ, I'm keeping an eye on this 10 min here. I love me a 10 min NQ reversal. All right, that was that trade from Tuesday. Keep an eye. Woo, we are in the trenches today, team. So ideally on the 5 min here, CL closes above 68. So a minute to go with that. And Q starting to possibly give us a reversal signal here. Fake out lower. It's time 10:39. Still got a little bit of time. Similar narrative across the board. That might be the most interesting. So it's got to close above 313.50, right, to be green. And then ideally here, right, we want the aggressive entry technique, not the pullback. Right, because a pullback, it's going to be tough for us to get that sizing that we want, right? That's a 50-point stop loss and above. So we want to see it now. Find a little bit of support here, not too much of a pullback. And then a breakout above that 324 area. elevator up. So there's that elevator up. Stop loss 23.12.25. Okay, I'm going to start looking for stairs down, little pullback here. Too much, too fast. Too much, too fast. So being patient. Where did crude close? 97. No, thank you. So again, now we want to see another elevator up, right? Find support off of that, low 310s. And then elevator up, weak pullback back into our price. So looking for elevator up. So far, that's tick by tick higher. Want to see it moving higher faster than it's moving lower. Better. Still not perfect. Again, the entry timing here is very important for us because it's been a very challenging market here so far. That's a much better reaction, much worse reaction. So we don't want to get caught on the side of a fake out here again, right? That has been stress-inducing PA here so far. So we want to see an aggressive volume standard, right? Defend the breakout above, and then see that yellow line act as our area of defense. So still hasn't happened here yet. Whew. This market's making me feel alive. We have a chance to still also get this look on the 15. So if this doesn't give us exactly what we want here on the 10, that's not a big deal either. Fifteen's got some work to do from a volume standard, but it'll be close. So again, finger's not even on the trigger here right now, right? Crude on the 15's not giving me increasing volume above 68. Didn't do so on any time frame here yet. Okay, now stop loss have to be 310.25. $310. And if that can act as support, say 309.25, if that can now act as support, right, for a breakout up and over, we're in good shape. So we want to see elevator up here now, right? Really see bulls defend those low 310s like we talked about. Let's see if it's got the juice. It's got to get over that 324.25 with enthusiasm. Haven't seen enthusiasm up. Well, we've seen enthusiasm up, but then enthusiasm down right away. We want to see enthusiasm higher and then weak, slow, generic pullback, right? Like we're seeing right now. But we want to see that occur above that yellow line. 15 min did give us that opportunity. So again, we are in play here. Again, finding support okay. Not really flushing through, not really flushing above. So it's not dead, but it's not perfect yet. So again, very, very patient here. Crude, I'm still watching in the background for any high volume breakout and hold of 68 for a continuation move towards 68.50. All right, so we don't have that here yet. Again, we're finding support okay off of these lows, but then not bouncing back as much as I'd like to see here yet. It's got another 10 points to go here to the upside. Now more. $40-point stop loss, right, as is, with the stop loss at low of day, would mean one contract's risking 800 points. That's too much. So again, we're back to this story here. Now stop loss 303. And that would be a 20-point stop loss, right? So one contract would be $400. So this would be a one contract play. So we're looking for elevator up, stairs down. That's elevator. So let's see if we can get stairs down here. This will be one contract. Okay, he's going to start looking for an entry here. I don't know why this is showing up here today. This is driving me nuts. And I am in, guys. Average price, $23.21. One contract. Oh, don't do this to me. Man, my fucking entry timing is terrible today. Great entry, Mike. Just a little bit premature with all my entries so far this morning. So down $200 here on this position. Still in. That didn't feel great. All right, there we go. Took the stop. Fuck. So down 560 here on the session. Oh my God, today. So yeah, realized loss here so far of 561.37. $10.51. Still have a bit of time. Last chance I possibly have here is 2270.50 stop loss on basically like a move under 300. It's the only thing left. So I'm seeing general tech buyers at these lows. This NQ weakness feels a little bit overrated. Basically, this box, right, is where we've seen dip buyers defend aggressively here so far this morning. So this is very, very interesting. So as is, right, we're talking about $600 per contract, so still need to see a deeper pullback than this. But this is the only thing that's interesting. The risk reward is very justifiable, again, like 8-1. And just even an ounce of follow through brings me green on the day. Right now, 790 risk, approximately, too much. So he needs to pull back at least 10 points. Like, I need to get 2290, right, as the area. So again, like a panic flush through this 300 would be the appealing entry timing. And it's a fake out reversal scenario, right? Inside the area where we've seen dip buyers all morning so far. I would have to double check that, Juan. I don't have an answer off the top of my head. You can go into my journal though and check yourself. Because I have sorted it out by, you know, conditions and stuff. Well, truth be told with you, Juan, I am very confident in my strategy in all market conditions, right? Yes, that is available for you to watch and to look. The pinned link is in the debrief channel. So, although I appreciate your sentiment, man, of what you're trying to say, like you're trying to get me to only trade 3 for 3 or 2 out of 3 or something. But if I'm just looking at this, right, biggest wins here so far. Okay, 2 out of 3 with volume, or without volume, sorry. Right? 2 out of 3 to the downside without volume have been my biggest wins here so far on the year. The reality is that there's just variance, right? So there's going to be times where things work really, really well. There's going to be times where things don't. And the objective is to continue to remain as consistent with your execution without basically trying to talk yourself out of what could be winning trades. If I'm happy with my risk, I can take 6 losers in a row here before I'm done for the day. Right? So I size my positions for that reason. If I have 1 winning trade, I should very easily be able to bounce back from all 6 losers. Right? So my risk reward and position sizing is built around those parameters so that I don't feel basically broken, right, if the market is not cooperating with me here. So if you don't like your P&L, well, you can't look to avoid all mistakes, right, or all losing trades. It's not really sustainable. You need to size down your positions so that you're happier with the outcomes, or you can live with the highs and lows. Like I said, I'm down $561 here on the session. It sucks for sure. Getting chopped out here 2 days in a row. But not going to do anything here, right, that dramatically changes my strategy just because I've had 2 crappy days of results, right? That's a significant overcorrection. And 2 days of results that don't give back the gains I made early in the week, right? So it's easy to feel like the world is falling apart when you have a losing trade. So the only way that you can manage that, right, is be proactive, not reactive in how you're managing your risk. And then if a longer term pattern establishes, okay, you can make that analysis and make those changes. But to react to 2 days of trading would be an insignificant amount of data. Okay, so watching here still, right? Higher high, higher low on this candle. So we're still in play here potentially. But it's really about getting good entry timing on this position. So right now, still be risking about 585, 605, 570. I'd like to get this under $500 worth of risk to enter this trade. Come on. Okay, so still watching here closely. Needs to get under 94. Again, a panic flush would be best. Come on. So it's $600, $660 with the risk right now. It's $700 now. I had it as low as 505 and didn't pull the trigger. Okay, so again, watching closely here. It's 530, 520 worth the risk. Just can't give me that extra point. All right, there we go. So I am in, average price $22.92. One contract. So let's see if it's got the juice here. It's got to be green pretty much right away. Otherwise, I will look to get out. Again, maybe a little bit early on my entry. Yeah. Come on, bounce back, you sucker. No averaging down here. No doing anything stupid like that, right? Down 65 bucks on this so far. So we're okay. Again, theme of the day for me here has been a little bit early on my entries. Let's see if I can get bailed out. And if not, I'll walk away down $1,000 on the day. I can live with that. Will I want to? Will I be happy? No. But I can live with that. Well, for me, Sammy, it's about being specific with what I'm looking for, right? So specific means either a specific price. So either it hits that price or it doesn't, or a specific risk amount that you're willing to take, right? So the more that you can define that element, generally the better your entries are going to go. So either define a specific price, right? I was looking for a flush under 294, right? Or a specific risk amount. So the more detailed you can be in your entry price. Now, I didn't get a great one here in hindsight, but the more specific you can be here with your entry timing and details, the better things go. Okay, so that's 345, 235 down. Come on. So again, entry in the 280s would have been the best. But yeah, if you want to get better at your entry timing, you be more specific. Because if you're waiting for it to feel right, like when you're struggling with your entries, you're always going to feel your anxiety and not the price action. Down 220 on this, 165. It's bounced around pretty quick. Would love to see it get back above 300 and run. But we're closer to a stop out than 300 at the moment. Perfect entries are kind of luck, right? Like my entry here was not perfect. And bounce off low. Still in here. There we go. Took a stop. God damn today. So down 1,030. I'm getting punished. Like if I have a good entry, I should be green pretty close to right away, which is always the objective. I'm looking at this now. This is a busy session. Getting my ass kicked. But I can't help the feeling that I still have a win in me here. Like, so this is cruel. All right, so we're pretty much back to entry price. That's just mean. But guys, yeah, today, again, not a fantastic session here by any means. But even if I'm down, right, 1030, right, as is, still a $5,700 week per account. So as much as it's shitty and it feels terrible, it's still been a good week. Right, so my win rate on the year is 65%, give or take. So that means you're going to spend a lot of time losing, right? It sucks, but I'm a third of my max loss number here today. So is that great? No, it obviously doesn't feel fantastic. But when I've lost small. I've taken trades that give me really high risk reward opportunities. So that if I would have been right, I would have gotten paid out significantly. So it's just understanding, right? We are playing a numbers game. And if we can't size our positions to survive that numbers game, then you need to get tremendously lucky and go on an incredible winning streak to ever be profitable. And that's not sustainable, right? So it's how am I optimizing my decisions so that at the end of 100 trades, 1,000 trades, a month worth of trades, right, I'm green. Well, that's about losing small, thinking about your risk reward, right, and being okay taking losers sometimes. It happens. If you go green 3 out of 5 days a week over the course of a year, every week, you're going to make a ton of money. If after you have 3 green days in a row, you decide to size up, and you go full port on every trade, okay, well, now you're going to get punished. So it is the consistency, steady hand, right? Regardless, win, lose, or draw, that makes you profitable. This is really, we left here 15 spot 4-2. This mean reversion on CL, last thing that's possibly interesting. This be 3 contracts. So I am short here, guys, CL. Four contracts. Oops. So let's see if this thing can go. Final call to action here. Okay, see if they can break down here. Come on. Come on. All right, there's the stop out. Pain in the ass day, team. Yeah, tough 2 days, to be honest with you, Michael. Tough 2 days here. Gave back a decent amount of the P&L from the week, right? So went from being up 10K to being up 5,600, 5,500, right? Something like that. Or up from 8K to 5K. So gave back a decent amount here. But we'll be all right. Frustrating, but we'll be all right. So any questions here, team, to fire out the week? So happy to sit here, answer any questions. But otherwise, look to take off here pretty soon. Hey, look, guys, it happens, right? We're going to have green days. We're going to have red days. But the idea here with our risk management and losing small is that our green days are going to be bigger than our red days, right? So today, okay, a little bit of a disaster of a session here again. I'm down $1,500. Is it the end of the world? No. Do I wish it felt better? Yes. So we improve, we learn, we move on, and we study the patterns, right? So now this weekend, the homework I have for myself is, okay, what could I have done better? What could I have done worse, right? What can I improve on, right? To make sure I'm not doing anything stupid here in the future. And that happens. So tonight, right, have a couple maybe Moscow Mules. Watch back some trades, right? See, okay, should I have taken this entry? Should I have taken that entry? Do I need to filter out these ideas? Do I need to filter out those ideas? Is the strategy fundamentally broken? I would say no, right? It's up to you, Antonin, on what your max loss number is, right? I had a pretty disastrous day and hit 50% of my max loss that I'm willing to accept. So J Deals, I record obviously my trades are streamed here on YouTube, and I do that via OBS. So use that as my platform to record. It's a combination of things, Sammy, I would say, right? One, everyone has a number that breaks them, right? So you need to be very selfish there over what that number is for yourself. I've decided that for me, right, I lock myself out of my accounts once I'm down 3K per account. So that for me is my unacceptable loss area, right? If I still feel like I have some mental clarity, I don't feel very snappy, then I'm willing to keep trading basically until I hit that, right, for lack of a better term. But everyone needs to be selfish over what that number is that breaks them, right? So for me, right, I wait for my confirmation candle to close, and then the entry timing. If I'm waiting for every candle to close, I'm never going to get an entry. Too many things are going to run without it ever going in my direction. So I just got chopped up a bit here inside bar day. Annoying? Yes, 100%. No, I think I probably pushed a little bit hard here to try to get to a 10K week. And so I ended up giving back, half of what that objective was. If I'm thinking out loud, right? It's kind of like a little bit of human nature to a certain extent of, hey, things are going well. Let's keep making them go better, right? So probably experienced a little bit of that here this week. Especially to end the week off, right? Thursday, Friday, not great days. Monday through Wednesday, awesome days. So, okay, green on 60% of my days this week. Like I said, that is a winning formula as long as I lose reasonably well. And today I did. So yeah, there'll be some reflection here this weekend, right? There'll be some... What can I have done better? What can I improve? What did the markets tell me that I maybe was ignoring? Was it bad luck? Was it bad timing? So per account, about 33, 420, 97. So about 33K on the month per account. Have 5 total accounts. And that's primarily come from 2 very big wins, right? So we had an awesome trade that was like 17K per account on the 5th. And then we had one here, right? That was like 7K per account. So those 2 days, right, are accounting for 85% of my P&L here this month. So it's just understanding, right, that not every trade's going to be a monster. Not every trade's going to be a max loss. Not every trade's going to be a max win. We're going to get shaken out of our winning ideas here, right? So it's just a part of the game. We cannot make it personal, and we have to basically be as consistent as we can with our process so that we can take advantage of those big wins when they show up. Right? And if we can't trade our process well and we aren't able to maximize our potential on those opportunities, then yeah, getting chopped to death feels incredibly frustrating, right? Any other questions here, team? Any other questions? Yeah, I do. Yeah. So once, say my risk on a position is, so in this context, right, I was risking 12 cents. Once I'm up 2R, I'll place my stop loss, right, to be protecting my entry. And then there'll be situations, right, intra-trade, where you're like, okay, I need to see it hold this level. If it doesn't hold this level, I'm going to get out. That's kind of like a version of also pushing my stop loss up. But I push my stop loss using the R system. So once I'm up 2R in a position, there's no reason for me to finish red on the play. Nice work, Ben. Look, it sucks to lose, man, but losing 183 bucks, you can bounce back from that, no problem. All right, so we had the right idea multiple times here today. I just got chopped out of our winning plays. It happens. It happens. So remember, team, right? The more personal we make losing feel, the harder it is for us to recover from our losses. And we all have periods of drawdown. We all have losing trades. We all get our ass kicked sometimes. It just sucks to have to share that with you all, right? Truth be told. It's the hardest part. Being honest and transparent when you're getting kicked in the face does not feel good. Well, again, one, that's a question for each individual. Down on the day here, PJ. Down on the day, $1,500. Up like a little bit over 5K on the week. Gave back P&L Thursday, Friday. So, Juan, it's a question of basically the number that breaks you, right? How much are you actually objectively willing to lose before you stop behaving like a rational human being? So does that allow you to do that with normal sizing, right? With normal contracts? Or do you need to trade micros to be able to accomplish that? So it's about having that honest conversation with yourself, right? Where can I, what's the number that kills me, right? What's the number that puts me over the edge? What's the number that puts me on tilt? What's the number of trades that I can take that puts me on tilt? Yeah, it's a good week, but a frustrating last 2 days, PJ. It's been a good month. I mean, it's been a really, really good month. But a frustrating couple days here. All right, team. Final call for questions. My dog has given me the eyes. So I recently, 2 weeks ago, something like that, closed all my, fully paid out all my Top Step accounts. And then these I've had for 2.5 weeks, something like that. Had those for maybe 2 months total. And then once all of them were at 30 days green and my other Apex accounts were past that max payout threshold, took my entire payout. Basically, the objective with these prop firms, right, is pay yourself as often as you can. Because the money is not real until it's in your bank account, right? Yeah, I can't complain. It's like a little bit over 130K, something like that. Or a little bit over 150K, I think, all in. So like 135-ish right after they take their cut. And remember, guys, I can't promise you I'll be green every day. But I always promise you I'll be as transparent as I possibly can be about my trading, how I'm feeling, why I'm feeling that way. You'll see me evolve, improve, adapt, right? Even maybe go on tilt at times. But it's just understanding that when you have those periods where you don't feel great, that there are mistakes you can make and mistakes you can't make. And if you obsess over losing small and you control those variables above absolutely everything else, then everything else just kind of falls into place. So my advice to you all, right, would be to not try to obsess over making big money, obsess over losing small money, and then everything else kind of just takes care of itself, right? Time figures it out for you. So final call for questions here, team. Final call for questions. Yeah, you had a great weekend too, Antonin. Yeah, so these ones specifically, PJ, about 2 weeks approximately. Prior to that, had them for about 3 months. And then I had my Apex ones with various other prop firms throughout the year. Apex probably for like 4.5, 5 months. I have a total now, I've gotten funded 10 accounts. And it's taken me 13 attempts to get 10 funded accounts total. So right now, yeah, I'm all with Top Step. Correct. Yeah, because I had 5 before, Juan, right, which I closed. So I had 5, closed those 5 total accounts. 3 initially with Top Step, 2 with Apex. Closed all 5 of those. Then opened up 5 new ones for a total of 10. All right, here, guys. Any other questions? That's fine. I mean, none of these questions are personal. All right, guys. We're back at it again on Monday, and we'll chat then. Peace.